So I guess they don't like us being
Yeah,
together.
they do not like us talking. Give it a second, maybe it'll balance out. That's
It,
why I'm using my laptop, not my phone. I'm like, they can't mess with us every time.
okay, let me just put my headphones on. Maybe that'll improve anyhow. So I wanted to so there's one dream I wanted to tell everybody about because I did research on it. And it was one of those lucid dreams when you totally know that, you're awake. It was like a row of houses, woods everywhere, like rural area, and a lot of brand new houses, like one after another, the same exact, very beautiful blue windows. I just remember clear blue. And inside, they were all different, like different people living, and I still felt like there were different families in these houses. But then I look inside, and there are no physical people. There are only souls, like etheric bodies. And I asked them, why are you here and where is your physical part? And the physical part has not arrived yet. I was talking to this one person and I'm saying like, so I'm an etheric, just looking how it's going to be in the future. They said, oh yeah, there's going to be, what you know now as eco villages. They're going to be the villages like that people are going to have in, and they're going to build them in specific spots where they feel energetically that they would blend into nature. And they would figure that out after the earth would get, my kids said that too, after the earth would get angry. That's, I don't know how to explain it. It's the
So,
earth wants to shake off and shake up everybody
mhm,
from this false awakening
mhm,
syndrome that is going on right now when
right?
people are just listening to different conspiracy theories, because I can only call them conspiracy theories because they don't make any sense.
No.
So, because the flipping I used to talk about in you remember videos with Dave when I would say that we're like in this pot, the lid of the pot is gonna flip, and what we thought was false would be truth. Right now, what I found out through talking to my friends, what's going on in Ukraine, I see the news actually reporting the truth. So I'm thinking the time is now when it's flipping,
Mhm.
Of course, not all the news, but the majority
Right.
of news that I hear, it's exactly the truth. What the people tell me first and then I watch next.
Right.
So, and then I started going like on a timeline and I asked those people, those etheric us, basically, in those villages that are going to happen from 2024 to 2026. 26 is the breaking point. And 26 is the year when I saw with James when we did the investigation session on med beds that med beds would really come available to all the public. So that's an interesting, I thought that, it confirmed in my own research.
Right.
So because I saw the timeline right now, we're kind of locked in this, I don't want to scare people. It's going to be fine because you're still in control of your own personal timeline and your own personal experience and energy.
Right. Right.
But it doesn't mean that nothing's going to be happening around. So
Right.
if let's say a hurricane happening in your area, you will be untouched because you are in stable high consciousness, right?
Right. Right.
Right. The
Well, you're
hurricane
also not
is
feeding into the
happening.
fear of what is going on around you.
Right, exactly. So it's not gonna touch you. I said that before in 2016 with Alba Weinman.
Mhm.
Um, and basically, in my own higher self, it's amazing how it all lines up. Because I said back then, you'll be moving to Florida, which I'm moving to Florida finally. And it happens too that I see that Florida waters are going to be rising. So that I saw, I'm going there. I have no fear, but I know that something's going to happen there with configuration, the little configuration. There was a territory, and then Alba asked me in that session, like, but what area should be safe for Oksana and her family? And my higher self answered, any area she's not going to be touched, or she'll be led to safety by her soul. She'll
remember
know.
that session, yeah.
So, and so what I see is I see earthquakes, volcanoes, tornadoes. It's already started now, as you can tell, Texas, and so it started with the war in Ukraine. Then I saw flashes of fires. I explained it as the war, how I said it. Remember in sessions with Dave, I said that it was a volcano exploding.
Right.
That was the etheric war that I saw. But
that's still going on. That's gonna still be going on. I don't think people really understand.
The rollout started in Ukraine, but it's still going to be rolling. So it's going to be rolling in other countries here and there, little local revolutions and wars and stuff like that. We're not going to, I don't see us being hungry. I don't see the world going into hunger and dying from hunger. I do not see that.
That is like the topic #1 of every so-called truther out there, food shortage. And it's like, you're literally putting that out there. You're literally manifesting that like as if you want it to happen. I get you think that you're trying to make sure people are prepped and prepared and whatnot, but if you keep throwing that out there, you're literally like telling the universe you want that to happen. Stop.
Right, exactly.
I don't feel that. And a lot of people are like, but we've been talking about it for years. Okay, yeah, it's a possibility. It's something that could happen in certain areas, but you guys asked like there's going to be mad, devastation across the entire planet. Stop thinking that way. Understand what you think you can create. People don't understand that we're creator beings. They just really have not understood that yet. And I really wish that is something that they would have learned over the last couple of years. This was the time to learn and evolve and just be aware of everything. And I just don't think they're just too busy listening to this person and that person. And, but they told the truth about, the sickness and the remedies and this and that. Okay.
Right.
Just because they give you 90% truth doesn't mean there's not 10% lies and a lot of other mumbo jumbo up in there.
Yeah, and how you know that a awakened person or truther is totally brainwashed in his or her own bubble is when you say your point of view, but they would say, but this and that channel says this, or but I know that this army is doing this. Who cares about what army doing this? The point is, we're getting rid of the evil on this planet, okay? Ukraine is doing a great job, by the way, because it's going to transform the world and it's going to kind of lock in the tyranny in place. Okay. And from that, we're going to go to the next thing. And the next thing, unfortunately, I see the viruses unfolding more and more. Get ready for that. So that's gonna. So each part of the world is gonna be fighting with something. That's our timeline.
There has to be a fear, right? There has to be a fear out there, and that's also a concept people have not begun to understand. That there always has to be a fear. Haven't you realized that there's always something going on? There's a riot. There's a terrorist. There's a this. There's a that. There's something. Right. It's never about anything nice and happy and joyful and blessings, none of that.
Right, exactly. And look how interesting it is. It kind of, if you read the reality we are in, so when the war happens, everybody in Ukraine forgot about the virus. Everybody in the world said, oh, we don't care if Ukrainians have this, or if they even are sick with it once they're crossing the border. They're refugees. They don't need anything but the documents, And if they don't have the documents still, we're accepting them. So it kind of changes your perspective. You understand that this virus situation, it kind of postpones the wars in a way. it kind of makes one thing neutralizes the other a little bit here and there. And, maybe people would even be too scared to fight with each other if we get a stronger virus and I see a stronger one coming with different, etiology and symptoms. So, I was looking at the whole thing and people don't understand. They say, I don't want to be on this timeline. Well, this is the timeline that the Earth has picked because, unfortunately, I don't know how to call those people, but there's so many stupid people. I mean, unfortunately, you just see them everywhere.
Right.
They're all over the place. They believe this perspective or that perspective. They're never open-minded. But in order for them to become open-minded, something tragic or something greater than their little tiny perspective has to happen to blow up their little box.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening now. And people are getting united. Look how they're helping each other. Look how now they even say it, like in Ukrainian news, they say, well, money don't matter anymore because you lose everything. The only thing is left is friendship.
Right.
Love.
Right.
So we're coming back to love.
Right.
That's what it is all about,
And that's going back with inside. And I think that's what people have missed about this last couple years of your own self-development, your own self-awareness. If you've gone in and asked yourself and found yourself and realized your own, you're a creator being and that you have your own energy fields and that you can find your own information out and you could do all of these things, or you've been too busy on YouTube all day trying to soak up everyone else's information, which you don't even know is true or not. You're just taking someone else's word for it. It's like, I'm hoping it doesn't take huge devastation, but it's like, have you not realized by now going within, using your heart and love is what helps you go within, because love is what gives you that sense of, what's true and what's not. That's how it works. And I think, I'm hoping that's in the next step of people realizing their awareness and their power.
Right. And see how it's interesting. The attention is diverted. When something major happens in people's lives, the attention is diverted from watching YouTube to just sharing food together, to singing together.
Checking on your neighbors.
Like my friends in Ukraine say that they don't have TVs anymore. They are in the metro stations hiding from the bombs. But what they do, they sing together, they talk, they narrate stories to each other, they read books, and they draw. So it's kind of like back to the natural way of living.
Right.
And this interesting thing today that this one Russian girl that I did the session with, telepath, and then my other friend, my former client, but now she became my friend. She lives in Russia. She edits my videos. And she said, Oksana, I just noticed there's one video, she sent it to me in Russian. This other telepath, I have no idea who she is, never met that telepath. She was with this Katya doing a session, and she said, well, Katya belongs to the area in the universe, right? In between universes, that's like, you can call it the where we come from, that neutrality area. And she said she kind of she's in the space where there's no AI, and there's another girl in there who is around her, and she had no idea about me. That's like an amazing discovery. The session, it was actually done a year ago.
Really?
Yeah, she found it by accident. She was listening to it, and she says, but this girl lives in the United States. But she comes from Ukraine. But she lives in the United States. She's just Oksana, she's talking about you for sure because you're friends with Katya, right? And I'm thinking, yeah, and then she mentioned something about the tube. I'm thinking, I'm going through this white tube all the time. I call it a corridor that leads me to that area. And I was thinking, well, we're going back to our original selves. Because if somebody turned off the YouTube, how do you find information anymore?
and learn to go within.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think the people who need their YouTube to be turned off, it's somehow that their soul, you know how soul is so smart, always figures out to put you in the right situation at the right place, for shake you up out of the. I mean, it happened to me. I really see true colors of all the people these days. It's really, truly amazing.
I
Some
think
of
that's
them,
just going to keep happening too. I think that
right?
starting in April and moving forward, I just think everyone is really going their truths, their their polarity, whatever it is that they have going on is going to be seen for everybody. It's
Right.
going to be out there.
Right. And another thing, there's a lot of, I have a lot of Russian clients. A lot of them supported me. They said this war is insane, you know, like you should stop it. That's because somebody's controlling us. It's not because of us. Obviously, they understand how it works. But there's some people who said, well, I choose to be neutral. I choose not to say my opinion, even in private. And I think that you cannot sit on two chairs at the same time. You cannot. You have to pick your opinion, you know, and how can you support the killing of people? I mean, from a physical perspective, like you cannot. I cannot support a killing of a mouse. I mean, it hurts me when they're trying to put poison, and then I see mice dying in the
Right.
spring. I mean, it hurts me so much inside. And we're talking about children, we're talking about women, elderly people who carry the
Right.
history. They're doing it on purpose. Um, and this neutrality or not saying, it gives them the yes. Whenever you are silent,
Hmm.
they take it as a yes.
And I
You have to
don't think people
understand it.
understand that either. That's part of universal law that people don't get. If you do nothing, that means you are condoning it. And I don't think
Exactly.
people understand that. I really wish people would. Go back to your part of your dream where you talk about basically that these people were just in, it's just the like you were in the etheric but you weren't, like they didn't have an avatar. They just had that, like their soul. Like what, like
Yeah, it's like because everything exists already, we are transitioning through the period of cleansing. Everybody's gonna cleanse himself or herself different way. You
mhm,
know, if you feel like you can be neutral, then you'll be shaken by a tornado that will tear apart the roof of your house, and you'll
mhm,
understand how it feels. Or, you know, and or something like this will happen. I know it from my personal experience. I've gone through all kinds of like I tried to be neutral, I tried to be, and now I just know I have to say my truth. And by the way, I mean I had some freak who sent me literally 7 messages in Russian saying that I'll come find you in Chicago for what you're saying, you know, under the videos in Ukrainian. I wonder how he knows Ukrainian, but anyway, Russians usually don't understand. And I was just supporting, you know, our the videos, you know, of the
right,
Ukrainian people.
right.
So I mean, but you cannot scare me with anything. Go try find me, do it, come on. You know, but there's so many people who acting strangely that they claim that they don't have any ego, but they actually do, because some of them are trying to force like healing energy on me when it's purely physiologically I'm hurting, you know, like sometimes once a month women do hurt, you know, lower
Right.
backache. It's not, you cannot just magically send energy to Oksana and her backache will disappear. I actually do sit-ups for it and it helps, or run around the neighborhood, you know, jogging,
Interesting.
and it helps, or do the steps up and down. And yeah, so it's not, sometimes it's just physical problem. The same thing when you come to a session, and you know, people should understand some diseases, when it turned into disease or into a condition, or you physically, your arm is hurting because you slept on it, you can't just
Hmm.
magically like this, and you have to do something, exercise or move your blood, right?
Right.
So the
Right.
same idea. And then when I say no thank you, you know, I don't need your energy, they get very upset. And I noticed that too. It's lately one day after another people showing their true colors. I'm thinking like, wait, she tells me that she sent me already the energy, and I said I did not accept it.
Right.
But I mean, it's my right,
Yeah.
right? You have to ask before you even send anything. So this thing has have to be understood. I have nothing against this person, but everything is free will, absolutely everything, you know?
And I
And
just don't
if
think people understand that.
no, and even like some of the soldiers, they are calling their moms because they catch the conversations. By the way, thanks to Elon Musk, who supplied, he sent so many Starlink technology to Ukraine. It's amazing. Some of my friends saw it, being used. Their husbands who are in military said they
Hmm.
can catch conversations in between Russian soldiers and them calling to their moms, and they post them on
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
YouTube all over the place. And they say, I don't know what I'm doing here. I have no idea why they're telling me to kill children and people and everybody I see. So they're waking up, you know, because of this. And now they're saying that, well, if I knew what I know now, I would have said no. I
Right.
would not go. And look what Belarusians did. They just said no. A lot of them
Right.
said no. And look what those who tried to go to Odessa, they said no, and they returned back to Russia. So you see how it is making them wake up. Unfortunately, some people lost their lives in all this mess.
Right.
But that's a process. That's a process. It's not without the pain, because without the pain, it looks like everybody would be just sitting comfortably eating pizza and watching the Truther community news, which always says the same thing.
Yeah, that we're watching a movie. Everything's a movie.
Right,
Nothing's real. Everything's a
right.
movie. Don't have feelings. It's like, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So they turn you into cyborg, and you're actually saying yes to it. And the biggest thing that I've read from my ex-clients, well, if it makes you feel better, Oksana, those Nazis, Azov army is Nazi army, is killing its own people in Mariupol. And that's why they transported buses and thousands of people to Russia. They organized fake green corridors, right? And they took Ukrainians instead of to border of Poland, where they would be safe. They took them to Russia. And actually, I have a person who lives in Mariupol, and they said, you know what they did? They stopped the buses with food supplies, and they take videos how Russian soldiers give food to Ukrainians. So like, look how good we are. And then, American truthers buy into this nonsense. But you always have to think with your head, because it just doesn't make sense. Why would we were living fine without any wars, and
Hmm.
then all of a sudden they try to, like, look in the history. They've always tried to take Crimea. They took Crimea. It's not enough. And now that he wants to go back to former Soviet Union, which my Polish clients understand, my Lithuanian and Latvian clients understand.
Hmm.
Those who lived in former Soviet Union, they know the mentality.
Right.
So before you believe something, you really have to do good research and listen to people who lived through this. Uh,
Right.
but anyway, that was the part that I just don't understand. It's like, and when I look at those people, there's some strange thing happening. It's like it's usually the left side of their body is starting to get metallized, if you can
Interesting.
understand this. So
Yeah.
it's like the left part of the brain is running, you would think that would be the right, because the right is
Right.
responsible for their soul heart connection, right? But no, I see the left one is becoming a cyborg-like, and the left brain, which is analytical, loses its ability to analytically assess. So, and when you're a cyborg, you basically do not need food at some point. You're just running on programs and energy. You're connected to one energy source. That's what they're trying to do. And we're gonna get the reason why we got locked into this negative timeline where the earth is basically kind of okay, we from a high perspective, us at a soul level,
Hmm.
we knew that this might happen, and
Yeah,
we
it was a
had a
probability.
plan B for
Mhm.
everything. So plan B for this, well, let's go timeline.
Right.
Tough times for everybody to shake everybody up from a fake awakening, and if people don't understand, then of course it's the bad news. But doing sessions with Dave were kind of like a lot of times he wouldn't want to spread the negative stuff to people, but I did see it coming. Was it volcano that we kind of said that it was energetic, but
Mm.
and whatever happens in the etheric happens down here.
Yep.
So, and then I saw fires across the world. Here you go.
I know people don't want to
But
hear what's bad, but people, if you really want to know what's going on, then you really need to tune into what's going on. I mean,
um, yeah, and then they would try. There is a probability of the fake alien invasion, which is really crazy.
I Lord, I
But
hope that doesn't
I
happen.
feel like the truthers are gonna pull that one, and because they want to grab a soul. If you believe in the alien invasion, it's like you sign a contract to be taken at a soul level.
As it becomes a belief system.
Right. Yep. Yeah. I've been with those people who believe that the aliens would just come and take them and everything would be fine. And the thing is, we're in the physical body, in the physical world. We still have to do something
Yeah.
physically to
Yeah.
get to the right. Go build a great house, join, like create a community. Let's build houses, but not touch nature, not take territory from squirrels, bunnies, and all these life forms that live on this nature. Be respectful to everything. Teach our kids to be respectful. Uh,
Right.
all of this, it starts with little things, like my kids were collecting worms after the rain for 2 days in a row because it was raining, and because they think that they need to save them from puddles because they're gonna
Oh.
die, so they would take them. Yeah, I have pictures of them like holding like 20 worms in 2 hands. My 6-year-old. Yeah, but that starts from this, and they were crying last spring when they saw like little tiny mice dead because the people don't like mice, obviously, by the building, and they were poisoning them. And it's
Oh.
just very sad. But then you hear the news like somebody calls the goose made a nest with eggs by the one of the pools by the building. They call animal control, and the animal control beats the goose up with the stick. I know it was in all the news here, in all the local news and local paper. Basically, poor mother goose, she had to flee, and the eggs were destroyed. And that's what
Oh
we
my
are.
gosh.
This little, if I were there, I'm telling you, I would be just like fighting with that person.
Yeah, I would too.
But how can people
How
watch
is that? How
this?
is that a thought in their brain to make that kind of reaction though? Like
I
what?
never call animal control. I'm friends with all the other, sanctuary. Like there's a bird sanctuary. There's like they save bats too, which people always say, oh, they have rabies and stuff. But there is a way to catch them and put them in a, cloth
Right.
bag that I always have with me. But it starts with if everybody was doing something, feeding the birds every day when it's cold outside. Like that's what you teach. And I know my kids will be teaching their kids, and we're spreading that way.
Hmm.
And that's what I see is going to happen by 2026, going into 27. And that's what it is. But so remember I was talking in one of the sessions was Dave, a rainbow coming in the
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna come, but then we're going into fall, and fall I see surprises
Yeah.
coming too, not
Like
so nice
September, right?
surprises. September, October,
Yeah.
not good,
Yeah,
and
I
then
saw that
January,
too.
February is tough, tough, tough.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, year 2023 is not a good year, but I'm moving to Florida on time, kind of in the summer to to live through it. And I know I'm always on time everywhere. Everywhere I go, I'm supposed to be. And I know there's going to be stuff happening there.
The
Yeah,
world doesn't stop, and there's going to be a lot going on. And when people realize that there's a spiritual war and everything going on the outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside of the collective, and people go into themselves and try to change themselves and try to just be aware of themselves, that will change what's going on the outside. But people don't understand that. They're too busy in the moment of wanting to have information. You don't need information. You don't need to know everything. What you need to do is find yourself, grow with yourself, be good with you, be a good human, lead with your heart. All of these things is going to have a ripple effect out into what is happening in, the collective. And
right.
but this is not something people are talking about. They're just talking, I don't know what they're talking nonsense. They're talking about, it's a movie, get your popcorn out, we can't wait for this, can't wait for that, let's talk about, the Oscars, let's talk about, the laptop, let's talk about, this and that. And it's like, okay, like, I get you guys are waiting for big truths to drop, and they will all eventually start coming out, never in the time that you think they're going to, but maybe we're not supposed to know time. We're not supposed to know when things are supposed to happen, because what you're supposed to be doing is growing as a human. And people are not doing that. And that's not helping what's going on outside. That's not helping that at all. People are not growing and evolving. They're sitting and waiting, and they're sitting in fear. And that is not making what's going on any better. And I don't think they truly, truly grasp that concept. And it's sad.
Right. Even if they're not sitting in fear, they're just being neutral. And neutrality, it just means the energy stagnation to me. Because what I do, I do find out the news, through my friends that I call every day. My brother, what's going on there. I mean, unfortunately, they pushed, Russians out of Kiev, but they're still bombing. But guess what? My brother is starting to teach the international students again on April 4th. And what they do, it's amazing. These people who live through so much, they send me the interesting, little things like our Zelensky when he was a comedian. This is the funniest ever. I was laughing so hard the other night, and it's like they're trying, and they are military guys who deliver the news always say you have to laugh, you have to keep the spirits up. That's how we win. We already won. From day one they were talking about it. That's how the goodness wins over tyranny. They don't sit around and cry. They try to laugh, they try to listen to good songs, they try to cook, to donate, to all this stuff. I mean, my brother said, Oksana, you would not believe the whole main street, Krisharik it's called, all the best restaurants that he said even I couldn't afford before are cooking for the soldiers, for all the people who are there, bringing it to metro stations. And Polish people are amazing. I have so many Polish clients. They send me videos. They're just like, and my friend who escaped, she said, Oksana, the guys, like 18-year-olds, drive you from Lviv to Poland using their own cars, or all the cabs are free now these days. Everything is free everywhere you go for Ukrainians. So you see how the world united. That's a great thing. We're actually showing we have the heart, despite all this idea about who took this doesn't have a heart. Apparently those people still have the heart. And Ukrainians are the one who refused this a lot. But now it's turned into, because I kind of figured out that in Ukraine it was very flexible.
It wasn't mandated.
It wasn't, no. You could easily say no. And, even when they mandated that you have to go to restaurants and cafes, all this, my brother said, nobody checks on this. They just say, oh, you have it for sure. Okay, come in. Like, you don't even show it.
Interesting.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's how, but... So I don't know, anywhere you look, we were the most flexible, but maybe we're the ones. Maybe that's why people are, I mean, my friends are in Belgium, Spain, Italy, Poland, Slovakia, Czech. I mean, they're calling me. One friend even called from Mongolia. I'm like, they're all over the place right now, the Ukrainian refugees, and I'm thinking maybe we're all out in the world, and I see for 2 years they'll be rebuilding the infrastructure because some cities are just like turned to dust, like there's no way
Right.
to leave, and maybe
Right.
they're the ones to teach the other people because we have a free mentality. We always know how to disobey the law. I mean, that's how I grew up. I know if we don't like what they tell us to do, we'll
Right.
just figure out the
Right.
way. And it's usually related to the medical stuff, you know.
Right.
Um, but it's a good free mentality. It's a freedom thing, and that's why we're fighting so fiercely because we like our freedom. You know, nobody can just walk into your house, take all your stuff, and kill your mother before your eyes like they do. Like nobody should
Right.
be doing that.
Right.
But then our kids, my friends, kids are going to in Belgium to school, and she says they are starting to speak French. Imagine all these kids in Poland. They don't adjusting. They don't have teachers who teach in Ukrainian or Russian.
Hmm.
They say they're teaching in Polish, and kids catching. So imagine all this generation of kids speaking so many languages,
Right.
and that's how we turning. Because I see the world without borders.
Yeah.
2026, 27, 28. After the 2030 world without borders, slightly being erased before that, and it's going to be beautiful after 2030, you know, and I see 2036 is fantastic, like out of your mind if you saw the picture. The world, the flying cars, the bubbles flying, and all kinds of stuff, floating gardens, healing waterfalls and fountains, and with healing water that is just charged up by our hands and
Well,
stuff
that's
like
how we're
that.
supposed to be right now. If they weren't
Right.
contaminating everything, our land, our air, our water,
Right.
everything, dividing us by race. Race is humanity. Race isn't, where you were born and what color of your skin,
Right.
all of that needs to fall. All of that needs to dissolve.
Right. And so the borders will be erased. Everybody will come to the point of like kind of knowing each other language, and the languages are going to be molding. You know how even like Ukrainians use a lot of English words,
Hmm.
and like any nation, a lot of countries,
A lot of
Italians use a
countries, yeah.
lot of it, English words. So it's going to be and then we slowly will transition to telepathic connection. That's all. It's going to be a slow motion, but I totally see it happening. But we have to go through all this trouble before it happens because some people literally, they're in the box. They need to get out. Sometimes you have
Yeah.
to shake them out of it
Well,
through
they've got to
some.
walk through some stuff. They've got to stop closing their eyes and just sheltering themselves and acting like there's nothing going on and just wait
Right.
for it all to change. No, 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 no. You need to change. If you change, everything else will start changing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. But that's what I wanted to deliver because people always, I know that I always say timelines are changing, but we're kind of like the major Earth timeline is locked. That's when I go to my own, platform
Mhm.
of creation, that spot. That's how I see it from that perspective. Now Earth has picked its timeline because people were like this, and
Mhm.
there are only 30% of people who truly understand how to do
Right.
it and
Right.
truly awaken. So I mean, Tony Sayers talks about this fake awakening also all the time, that people think they're awakened, but they're not. They still
Mhm.
choose this are white hats, this are black hats, this are good or bad. You're still in this duality, and you're ready
Mhm.
to fight against somebody who's saying something the opposite of what you're saying. But how about just now we have to come to logic and put away all the theories of black and white.
Yeah.
So
But
it has to
people,
be one theory of heart connection.
exactly, and that's where they need to go within and find their own answers and stop listening to everybody else. It's like they're just so zoned in. What is the difference between watching, person A, person B, and whatever on YouTube versus watching mainstream media? How is that any different? I don't think that they see that. It's the same
No,
thing. You're still getting your information from somebody else that's not you. And you're
exactly.
still, until they get that heartbreak and understand that reality,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've got to walk through that information at some point in time. I mean, that bubble has to burst. There's just too many truthers out there. And there's people out there making videos that I've heard. I don't really watch anybody, but they say, 99% of the truthers are not good people. They're not giving you good information.
Mm-hmm.
And they're out there giving you their movie that they keep telling you is a movie that you are watching.
They're connected to the AI
Mhm.
egregor, I guess. Look how they are always pushing one narrative,
Yep. And they
you
all say the
know.
same thing. They're
Yeah,
all parrots. They all
Putin is a nice guy. That's what they're saying. Even though Draconians are the ones who like when people are killed, and look how many Russian soldiers are in the fields of Ukraine, and nobody's picking them up. And Draconians having a feast with reptilians. But nobody talks about that. Um, but the thing is, like, if you want to control the souls incarnated in bodies, you have to infiltrate both communities, truthers, non-truthers,
Mhm.
and other ones, patriots or whatever
Right?
and look how interesting. Community starts with few people, then more people come in, more people become popular, they grow in numbers. That's done on purpose. Because when you see a big number, oh, they're saying the same thing. I better think the same thing because at least I feel like I belong to somebody because people have this in them. They are afraid to be alone, right? So they want to feel this, even if it's only online connection, they still want to be in some sort of group. And they're
Mhm.
proud to announce I'm in this group or that group, right? And that's a
Yep.
catch. That's a big trap. I've been in this trap. I know how it is.
Yep.
And I see people going through the same thing I've
Yep.
gone through a long time ago.
Yep.
So,
We all know that all those groups, there's always something bad going on.
right. And then in this situation, I've seen so many people when something is happening in my life, and all of a sudden, not them who need help from me, but I need a little bit of moral support from them. They turned away, walked away. Oksana's not needed anymore. See how it works?
Hmm.
And I'm glad the situation happened. I'm very happy because now my space is cleaner. I
Right.
have more energy to work with, to
Yeah.
help the right people,
Yeah.
and to do the right thing, basically. And
Exactly. Exactly.
because before it seems like some people just like to use you, and that's the truth, and everybody should be careful with that idea. um yeah.
Yeah, that's going on in everyday people, and I don't think people understand that. I mean, there's some people out there telling their stories, about, the traps that they've been in, the black magic that they've been, accustomed to, all these weird things, the mind control, this and that, and they're just like, oh, that's just that person. I'm like, no, this happens to everyday people. Just like your sessions, if they watch your sessions or Kello's sessions, it's like this happens to everyday people. There's things
Hmm.
going on everywhere, all over the place. So that's, again, go back to you, go back to identifying who you are, finding yourself, growing yourself, so you're not one of those people. So you're not just turning into a cyborg or being controlled. Like you'll learn to sense your surroundings and the energy. It will happen. You don't need a guru to tell you how to do it. Everyone's following all these gurus, which I call truthers. I mean, because I think that's what they think they are, right? That they're the new gurus out
Yeah,
there.
there's always ego attached to all of it,
Yeah.
unfortunately. The same thing, like all of a sudden you learn something and you think you're a healer. So first thing that comes from you when you meet somebody, let me heal you. I mean,
Right.
it's just so strange, you know. There's a lot of times it's like it's the same idea like, oh, I'm a doctor in the company. The first thing that comes from like when people get together, they want to brag about something. I mean,
Mhm.
you notice this, it's very profound, and now it's really comes up like everybody's taking the masks off. But I had a lot of days to reflect on things, and it's really interesting how some people, no matter what, and this is the idea, in the etheric, we don't follow anybody. We have our
Transparent.
own imagination. We're very unique. We want to create in a unique way that we in a way, we're proud of it, of being
Right.
unique. And that's what we
Right.
have to get to this
Yeah.
idea. That's when
Yes.
you plug in into your soul and essence,
Yes.
become
Yeah.
true you.
Yeah. We don't need to all be the same. Not everyone needs to look alike and dress alike and act alike. Everyone is supposed to be here incarnated to give something, to offer something, and that's supposed to be something different from everyone. So if you're the
Right.
same as everybody else, that's boring.
Exactly. Yeah, totally agree with you. Well, I guess we probably covered everything that we wanted to, so I can probably turn this off now and we'll proceed with the session right after. But thank you so much.
You're welcome.